from WBBZ-TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Welcome to Week 3 here in Jamestown with Janelle Sabin and Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky. My name is Paul Peck, and Week 3 in Jamestown, Sue, brings us a real Jamestown feel because 3 of the 4 bowlers on this week's show are Jamestown guys who bowl right here at the Jamestown Bowling Company.
It took us 3 weeks, but we finally got what we expected, and that is a representation from Jamestown bowlers bowling each other here at Jamestown Bowling Company.
Yeah, and not only the bowlers, Janelle, but the fans in the stands, and I know you'll be in charge of that for us. It's gonna be a fun day, isn't it?
It definitely will be. Lots of friends and family in the stands today. It's pretty great.
So we've really got a Jamestown feel on this one. We've got prizes, we've got prize money, and we've got bragging rights all on the line today, so let's get rolling. First match of the day features our returning champ Terry Parson on the right against Andrew Blasdell. A pair of Jamestown guys are going to battle it out here in our first match of the day here on Beat the Champ. And because we are such a Jamestown heavy show here today, we figured we'd bring in our Jamestown expert, and that is the owner of the Jamestown Bowling Company. Jim Mee joins us again. Jim, always good to have you on the show here with us, and we figured nobody knows these bowlers as well as you do, so you can give us good perspective on 3 of the 4 guys we're going to see today, which are all guys that are regulars here at the JBC.
Sounds good. I'll do my best.
So we saw the first throw there, and maybe Andrew's got to get a little of those nerves out of the way because that's a pretty tough leave he had on his very first throw. But Andrew Blasdell making his Beat the Champ debut here. And at least he salvages what he can, so it's an open frame in the first for Andrew Blasdell, and now we get our first look at Terry Parson. Terry had that dramatic win a week ago, Sue, over Tony Dolan, where he came up with 3 consecutive strikes in the last frame that put the pressure on Tony, and Tony left that crazy split, and it allowed Terry to come up with the 234 to 223 win over Tony Dolan.
It's a good example about how this is just more than actual fundamentals and figure out lane conditions. It's a very emotional sport, and posting that score up gets in the head of the other bowler that has to come up and knows what they have to do. All of a sudden there's pressure.
Oh, definitely. You'd rather have it up there to put the pressure on the other guy for sure.
Right, which is how people pick. The higher qualifier gets to pick whether they start or finish, and it does matter. If you want to be the one to post the score, you want to be the one to have to come up and match it.
So it's an very early advantage for Terry as he spares the first while Andrew left that open in the first. So now Terry Parson, I'll tell you, that was amazing in that last match, just seeing Terry respond to the pressure of, okay, the only way you have a chance to win is strike out in the 10th frame, and son of a gun does he do it, and then Tony Dolan leaves that opening. It was pretty dramatic, as dramatic a match as we've had here in Beat the Champ.
I know. I think we were all had a stunned silence there for a couple seconds when that happened.
Yeah, Tony, he doesn't give the pocket away very much.
No, I mean, like you said, that doesn't happen very much, and for him to have done the one thing that he couldn't do in that last frame that would lose him the match, to have him do it was amazing. But again, that's because Terry put the pressure on him. So here's another look at Andrew, 28 years old, from right here in Jamestown. Works at Tops and the Pizza Express in Lakewood here, is keeping himself busy, and then certainly spends a lot of time bowling. 28 years old, been bowling since he was 8 years old, and if the name is somewhat familiar to you when you were watching last week's show, Mark Blasdell, who went down to defeat the Tony Dolan in the first match of the day, that is Andrew's brother.
We talk about how bowling is a family sport. And, when we talk to a lot of bowlers, a lot of them learn from going bowling with their parents and their grandparents. And, obviously these 2 boys were no different, just like you are with your son, Chad.
Exactly. Their dad was, he no longer bowls in leagues, but he was also a league bowler for many years.
There's our first look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, and manned as always by Janelle Sabin early on. Each guy with a strike in the second frame. Terry with the spare in the first. Andrew with the open in the first, working on finishing off the spare here in the third. And, oh, nice. He got it! was a nifty spare save by Andrew. Well, tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit, Jim, about Terry Parson, because we didn't really have a chance to get the scouting report much from you in last week's show. So tell us what you know about Terry, who's a regular here at the Jamestown Bowling Company.
Yeah, he's a lefty that likes to hook it versus watching a guy like Tony Dolan, who's straight and accurate. Terry likes to get deeper and open up the lane. He's got quite a bit of hand, and he's still not a big scorer. He's either a lot of times he's on or he's not, but so far today he's doing it great.
A couple of strikes in a row for the 41-year-old from Randolph, New York, Terry Parson, as he gets set to go here in the 4th frame. Well, it's got to be fun for you. We've got a Jamestown bowling heavy show here, is the way it sort of shook out, and get a chance to spotlight some of your guys here over the next couple of matches.
Yeah, definitely. It's good for business too, because they're here having a good time, and most of these guys, it's their first time on any kind of a TV show, so I'm sure they're enjoying it.
And a big arm swing from Andrew Blasdell as he powers that ball down the lane and leaves the 4-pin. Tell us what you know about Andrew.
He has been bowling for, like you said, about 20 years. He was an accomplished high school bowler. I believe he won the states one year. I'm not sure where it was at that year, but I believe he was the overall champ in high school bowling one year. And he's been ever since he's turned adult, he's been one of the top bowlers around the area.
And that's a good 4th frame spare for Andrew Blasdell. As you mentioned, 2004 New York State bowling champion in his sophomore year of high school, and then also had a good junior year. And interestingly enough, in that 2004 year, when he bowled at the state level, among his teammates at the state tournament were a couple of big names in Buffalo bowling, Ryan Simonelli and John Zerbinski.
Doesn't get any bigger than that in Buffalo anymore.
That's for sure.
We commented on, a few weeks ago, we saw Dan Gould bowl, and we were commenting on the difference between people's backswings. And this is the dramatic opposite of Dan. This is the very highest backswing, higher than shoulder high, and in comparison to a very low backswing. So he still has a lot of power, though, but he just generates it from that high backswing, right?
Exactly, like similar to my son, they get it off their hand early and get it into a revved up roll like right away, which seems to be more the modern game these days.
Yeah.
So Terry Parson in the 5th frame leaves the 6 and 10 pins on the right-hand side of the lane, so we'll have to grab the 2 of those for a spare. That ended the streak of 3 strikes in a row for Terry Parson, and Andrew Blasdell starting to find a strike run a little bit here as well too. So this shaping up as a good match that looks like it's going to come down to the end like most of them have here at the Jamestown Bowling Company.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
Weather alert in Jamestown. It's summer. Are you more comfortable bowling in shorts?
Yeah, I always get made fun of for that, but just how I feel comfortable bowling in shorts, so.
Is that your normal bowling attire?
Yeah, I do my thing.
Yeah. And so how do you have to redeem yourself against your brother now, or you're going to be the Blasdell that goes all the way?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. See what happens, though.
Are you too
Never know.
competitive when it comes to bowling?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely grew up in a competitive family, so
Yeah.
like to win.
Do you bowl league?
Yeah, I bowl Thursday night league, scratch league. Just once a week, but yeah.
Do you bowl here at Jamestown?
Yep, at Jamestown, yeah.
And big, powerful strike in the 8th frame. Mentioned his brother Mark was a competitor on last month's show. Mark is here watching, along with Andrew's fiancee Lisa and their grandfather Alan, all here cheering on Andrew Blasdell. It didn't fall that way, but we always had the potential for a brother versus brother matchup, which we haven't had one of those yet. We've had a few chances at that on Beat the Champ, but we haven't had one of those yet either. Another powerful strike for Andrew Blasdell, and now cutting into the lead of Terry Parson as he's gone strikes on 4 of the last 5 frames.
Do you bowl in the same league as Andrew on Thursday?
I do.
You bowl in that league still? You gonna come out and bowl Beat the Champ one of these days?
I'm thinking about it. I should. I know I wouldn't do it at my own house because
Right.
I'm pretty average pretty high here.
Well, we've had your son on the show, so
Oh, yeah.
we need to keep the the family tradition, the generations going.
I should say, Paul, not to embarrass Jim, he was really one of the best left-handers from Western New York.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
No, you were. I haven't seen you bowl in a while. You come out
He's too
bowling.
he's too busy running this place. He's too busy running this place and cooking really good pizza and prime rib.
Well, that has a lot to do with it, but I just bowl one league a week, and once in a while my son he either shames me into or says, "Dad, let's go bowl a tournament because you're still throwing good and you should be out there."
That's why I want to see you come to Buffalo and we'll beat the champ.
Tricky 7-pin plaguing Terry Parson here just a bit as he makes his way into the 10th frame. How is your son Chad doing? We haven't seen him on the show, but I know he's busy at school, and that's probably the big reason why, right?
That's one of the big reasons, and this summer, my son is got a lot of great things going for him, but he's very injury prone, and he hurt himself again, so he wasn't even able to fulfill his obligation to Junior Team USA this year because he just was injured at the time, and he needed to go down there. So, but he's doing good at school, and he's still practicing a little bit. But I'm sure you'll see him on the scene here pretty soon.
Well, we hope so. It's always good to get him on the show. Well, one more ball here for Terry Parson after he picked up that 10th frame spare.
Terry's going to move on.
It looks like, I was about to say, on his way to a victory here. So it'll be 2 in a row for Terry Parson. Got a nice little battle from Andrew Blasdell, but a couple of those open frames for Andrew in 1 and 7 kind of plagued him in this one. Nice easy stroke for Terry and another strike. So it's on the board for Terry Parson with a 227.
You know, Jim, we have a new format here in 2017. It's not that we didn't distribute prize money before to the bowlers, but we really didn't mention it. And it's one of the really nice things that the proprietors have put together for Beat the Champ for the bowlers, and that's a prize fund, which we're really bringing to light a little bit. Can we talk about that a little bit? Explain the prize fund.
Yes. It's $100 for every match you win. So if you win, obviously you can win up to $300 per show, and then of course move on to the next show. And then if you lose your first match, you win $50.
So these bowlers get on these runs, and they can actually make a nice little chunk of change for coming out and bowl and Beat the Champ.
Well, sure, if you could sweep a couple of shows, that's
Well, think about it. Our record of consecutive wins is 6, done by Matt White, who started that streak right here in Jamestown. So he pocketed himself some nice money with right now what is the record of 6 wins in a row.
I mean, besides the fact there's a prize fund in the qualifying, so it's a little more lucrative than maybe we would have alluded to before.
Oh yes, I mean that's what the bowlers want. Obviously, they like to bowl for money, especially it's a scratch event. So.
Right. Well, I'm saying that Mike Zarcone has tied Matt with the consecutive win record at 6, and at the moment Terry Parson's on a win streak of 2 in a row because it's a 227-196 victory for Terry Parson over Andrew Blasdell. We'll talk to Andrew and we'll preview Terry's next match when we return. It's Beat the Champ at the Jamestown Bowling Company. We're back right after this. Well, Andrew, we thought we had the chance here to give you a little bragging rights with your brother and come up with a win, and you bowled really well here today. Those 2 open frames kind of killed you, didn't they?
Yeah, it's tough coming here in the first couple shots, just trying to get lined up, and then all of a sudden you're losing by a lot, and can't do much about it.
You and Terry, both Jamestown guys, how much have you bowled against him before? How well did you know him?
I've seen him in my Thursday Classic Scratch League every now and then, so yeah, I've seen him around for sure. He's a good bowler. Well,
a good way to get things started for you here on your debut on Beat the Champ. Certainly a win would have been better, but at the very least, Jim Meade from here, the Jamestown Bowling Company, got some money for you.
A little $50 from the bowling company, so thanks for bowling. We'll see you again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Andrew Blasdell unable to solve Terry Parson, which means Terry gets to come back. Got another match against another Jamestown guy, and that'll be next when Beat the Champ returns right after this.
And what brought you out to try out for Beat the Champ?
I just came in here with no expectations to see what kind of level of bowler I was on, and I'm just happy that I made the show, which is a nice little surprise.
Was this your first time trying out for Beat the Champ?
First time trying out for a tournament, first time on TV tournament, first time for a lot of stuff.
Are you feeling any jitters? Are you concerned about the lights or the cameras?
Not right now. Surprisingly calmer than I thought I would be. Everything from here on out is just a bonus. I've already just surprised I'm here.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck on your first time on television.
Thank you.
Terry Parson on the right goes for 3 in a row against another Jamestown bowler. That's Tom Lester, and we'll get our first look at him as he will start things off for us in match number 2 here at the Jamestown Bowling Company. And like we said, we're heavy on James. We're going to have a Jamestown bowler in every match here today. And of our 4 bowlers, 3 of them are Jamestown area bowlers, including Tom Lester, 35 years old, from right here in Jamestown. And his first throw of the day is a strike. Joined again by Jim Mee, the owner of the Jamestown Bowling Company. Jim, well, we'll hold off on your thoughts on Tom there when we get him back. So now we get our first look at Terry Lester. You've seen Terry bowl an awful lot. He seems to be finding a nice little stride here. What's he doing well?
Yeah, he's making really good shots. He has a tendency sometimes to spray it around a little bit, but today he looks like he's also accurate with some really strong roll.
Here's his first throw, and he finally gets that pin to 10 to fall. A little clap of the hand for satisfaction of finally seeing that happen, and we're off to a good start for both guys. Strikes in the first frame. That's kind of the telling, that's the telling point when you get those corner pins to go down like that. That might be the indicator you're getting ready for a good match.
He gets a lot of pin action because he's got a higher rev rate with good ball speed. So when he comes in late with all that going on, they dance around pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So second frame now for Terry Parson. And another impressive and effective performance in the second frame. Lots of power and speed. So now, Jim, tell us a little bit about Tom Lester.
Well, Tom, he's not really a scratch league bowler, but he bowls one of my handicap leagues. Averages, I'd say, around 190. He's like a once-a-week player. As a matter of fact, he's going to sub with me tomorrow night because my daughter is having a back problem. So he's all excited about that, and
who wouldn't be excited about bowling with you?
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway, he just got this new ball. I drilled it for him, and he made the qualifier with it, so he's happy with the product, and hopefully he's got something in him the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Well, he'll have to work on the 7-pin to grab the spare here in the second frame, and it will not happen. Tough open frame there in the second for Tom Lester. And he'll move over to lane number 17. Tom is 35 years old, from here in Jamestown, a machinist at Arrow Tool and Die. He has been bowling probably a good portion of it here since he's about 6 years old. And as Jim mentioned, about a 190 average. Yeah, kind of lost the speed on the end of that, Sue, didn't he?
Yeah, he's probably a little bit nervous. This is his first time on television.
Yeah, he's a little nervous. I was a little slow, and that's, like I said, that's a newer ball. So if you throw a newer ball slow, it's got a fresh cover stuck on it. It really back ends.
Hey, explain a little bit of that, Jim. What is it about a new ball that it needs to warm up a little bit, or you need to rub a little bit of that off? What is it that adds to the early stages of a ball?
Well, actually, most of these bowling balls, once they absorb the right amount of lane oil, they actually stop hooking as much. So, I mean, I prefer a ball that's not super fresh because it's more controllable, and I don't have the speed that, like, say, Terry does. So. And so once you get a ball, say maybe about 100 games on it, it's good to try to bake it out. Believe it or not, you actually put it in a little oven and you bake out the oil, and you get it, and it kind of comes back to original ball reaction, or close to it, I should say. It's hard to get the original from the factory.
Yeah, but when you first take a ball out of the box, it has a little bit of a shine to it. It takes a little bit to get that off. So how it starts off rolling might not be the true way it's going to roll for you. You kind of got to get those first couple games and wear that cover stock down a little bit.
Exactly, because when you get a new ball, usually it might not hook as much the first 10 shots, but once you get 3, 4, 5 games at it, it actually starts to hook more because it gets broken in.
Right, it doesn't take much. It just needs to get some games on it.
Kind of like breaking in a baseball glove a little bit, huh? You know,
Something like that.
You know, so similar to that. Well, as you're watching there, you saw Terry Parson with 2 more strikes, so he's perfect through 4 frames. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tom Lester has been open in both the second and third frame, and maybe it's a little bit of the nerves and the new ball and feeling his way through it here, but he'll have to find a groove here. This one's going to start slipping away, and there's the strike for Tom Lester in the 4th frame. Tom bowls on Tuesday nights here at the Jamestown Bowling Company in the men's league that Jim had mentioned.
Well, like Jim said, he bowls in a handicap league, and that's a little different environment than the scratch leagues. Not that there isn't, good average bowlers in a handicap league, but it's a different mentality because you've got some pins to, equalize you with the rest of the league. And he's in here, bowling against the big guys with no pins to rely on.
And 6 pin will hold up for Tom here in the 5th frame.
But I think when he comes bowl with you, he'll have a little added confidence because every time you bowl a tournament and you bowl in this environment and you get up there and you throw those strikes, it gives you a little bit more confidence for when you go back to your league bowling. You feel like you're like more advanced than you were.
Oh, definitely. And I'm sure tomorrow night he'll be asking me some questions about, how did I throw today? What can I do a little bit better? And I should be able to help him out a little bit tomorrow night with some pointers.
Good spare for Tom in the 5th frame.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
So Jamestown Bowling Company has a lot of great food, and I'm here with the chef. What's your name?
Samantha Bibber.
Samantha, now what makes your prime rib so famous?
We have our own secret recipe, rub infused with coffee, and it gets a nice crust and great flavor that people really enjoy.
And everyone also comes back for those huge portions that we love.
Oh yes, the portions are a great hearty size and also priced right.
Yeah, definitely great prices, great portions. You have enough for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is it the ball that I'm choosing, or am I slow, am I fast, whatever? But you can look at the track on your ball, and if it's wavering off of where it really is, you can know that it's your execution. So it tells us as bowlers something, but it also tells the ball drillers, where we're tracking, and it helps them pick a bowling ball out.
So what's the mix between the coaching and the equipment? You just laid it out there that it's got to be both. So how do you guys balance that between those 2 parts of getting things right?
Well, he's using that as a tool to help put something in your hand to aid your game, to assist your game, to give you better scoring potential, which your job is to just practice and make sure that you're maintaining your abilities. Mm-hmm. So, for example, sometimes you'll hear, a thump. If you're thumping over the thumb hole, if you hear a thump when the ball is going down, that means that something is to change in your hand position. And you might want to go into your pro shop and say, listen, I'm thumping over the thumb hole. I hear this thumping as it's going down the lane. And you might have to turn your hand a different way in your setup, because a lot of your game begins, in fact, your entire game begins in your push away. It's one of the things that someone will quickly alter if you feel like you're off balance of the line, or you feel like the ball you keep missing to the right of your target or keep missing the left of your target. Oftentimes it's simply in your push away, and if you can push away a little further, getting the ball swing a little faster, drop your hand a little faster. And it's a simple technique like that your pro shop guy can tell you by you telling him what's happening. And it can be as simple as something like that. And that's where you'll start with somebody right in the push away.
Right, definitely.
So then my final question on this topic to you, Jim, is where's the balance between the equipment is so good and can do so many things? Where's the balance between using the equipment to overcome a negative, or using coaching to fix that and not have the equipment take the place of that? You get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I understand. And I'm a little bit older, and so I grew up with, basically one ball, and you used to just have to adjust. Now, the bowlers walk in with 6, 8, 10 balls to a tournament, and so and they do that for the adjustment now more than say throwing it harder, moving up, moving back, So it's just a different game these days because the equipment's a huge part of it.
And just to update you, we're looking at a 40-plus advantage here, pin advantage for Terry Parson. I guess what I'm thinking of is when you're a golfer, you can buy a club that will compensate for a hook or a slice, or you can figure out how to eliminate your hook or your slice. It's a little bit of the same topic, right?
It is. Let's face it. All sports now are, the technology is amazing in every sport. So it's just the way it is. You can't fight it. You just got to learn how to use it the best to your ability, and hopefully, like on a professional level, hopefully you can make as much money as possible.
But you still have to be consistent. I think it's the bowler's job to get out and practice a little bit, and not just look for the easy fix in a bowling ball. Because if you miss your target by 10 boards, I don't care what you're throwing, you're still going to have the wrong result.
That's right.
Interesting discussion, guys. I learned a lot. Thank you very much for that. Meanwhile, even though Terry left that open frame in the ninth, he looks like he's got a sizable enough lead that he's going to be able to overcome that here and move on and grab his third consecutive victory. And Terry Parson really enjoying the home cooking here at the Jamestown Bowling Company.
Cha-ching, Terry's just racking up that prize money.
Racking up that prize money with a chance to add even more, but in his next match, he's going to finally go against a non-Jamestown bowler and a guy who has some experience on the show here, and that's Bill Swiat. And that'll be coming up in our next match as Terry is one more throw away from moving on here.
Well, Bill pointed out earlier that even though he did make his debut here at Jamestown Bowling Company the last time we were here, he's a Cheektowaga guy, so he came all the way out here to make the TV show and did it again.
Yeah, that's impressive, twice in a row.
Final throw of this match for Terry Parson. And a nice strike to finish things off. And for Terry Parson, a 2-26 score up on the board. And then we'll finally, we'll get our 10th frame here for Tom Lester to finish out his scoring. So Terry Parson's hot right now, and working on that 3-match winning streak after that dramatic victory over Tony Dolan to end his 3-match winning streak. It's Terry that's used that momentum to carry forward. And the look on the face of Tom Lester tells you probably what you need to know about a rather tough match for him here.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I just saw right there. That was, even though he left 7-pin, that was the best shot I've seen him throw. It seems like now the match is sort of coming out of reach. Now you see a more relaxed arm swing, and the ball came off his hand a little cleaner. So I have to say that it was a lot of nerves for him today.
Oh, I'm sure next time he gets on the show, he'll feel a lot better about it.
So after grabbing that spare, there'll be one more here for Tom Lester, and and as it shakes out here, of all the 6 Jamestown bowlers that were all making their debuts on the show, Terry's been the only one that's been able to come up with a victory. And against Tony Dolan in dramatic fashion. I mean, really going to the extreme there. So final score up on the board now of 171 for Tom Lester. So it's a 226 to 171 win for Terry Parson over Tom Lester. That is 3 in a row now for Terry Parson. One more to come before he'll be the king of Jamestown bowlers to wrap up our week's competition here. Jim, thank you very much. Always good to have you on here. We're back to talk to Tom and get you ready for our final match when we return to Beat the Champ. Well, Tom Lester falls in this match to Terry Parson. Your debut on Beat the Champ. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking, lots of things going on. Give me a sense on how it went for you.
It was very fun. I used to bowl Terry a few years ago in a league here, and that's the man. That's the big guy.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a roll now here as well too. So, but you're not going home empty-handed because the Mr. Prizes here, Jim Mee's got something for you.
$50 cash for you from Jamestown Bowling Company. Great bowling time.
All right, so Tom Lester with his debut here on Beat the Champ. We've got one more match to come from here in Jamestown. We get that rolling right after this.
Bill Swiat, not the first time we've seen you here on Beat the Champ.
No, my first time was here the last time we were here.
You like that trip down the 90?
Yes, I'll take it.
Or did you like Jamestown Bowling Company?
Yeah, it's good bowling here. It's good.
Have you bowled league here or any other tournaments here other than Beat the Champ?
No, this is only my second time being here.
And your second time on the show. Well, that's really good. So good luck to you today, and hope to see you all the way.
Thank you very much.
Terry Parson on the right, going for 3 in a row. The challenger is Bill Swiat, who is a veteran here of Beat the Champ, making his 4th show appearance with an overall record of 2 wins and 2 losses. Matter of fact, he made his Beat the Champ debut here at Jamestown's Bowling Company in the summer and came up with his 1 weekly victory, and that came at Classic Lanes a little bit after that. So Bill Swiat, our only bowler today who does not hail from Jamestown, trying to keep the pride of Erie County going here. And pretty good start off the bat there for Bill Swiat, 31 years old, from Cheektowaga, New York.
Yeah, so far we've seen the left-handers have to prevail a bit on this lane condition for whatever the reason seems to favor them a bit. So, but Bill's got a big hand on him. We were talking about rev rates and power, and he's got a lot of power.
Well, we do have 2 powerful bowlers here in Terry Parson and Bill Swiat, and how about, you want some consistency for Terry today? 227, 226 in his first 2 victories of the day. And the win that got him going on this winning streak in last week's show was a 234. So that's pretty good 229 average so far working here in 3 matches.
For a guy who tells us he averages 180.
Yeah. And that's about the worst one we've seen Terry throw so far, as he leaves 4 pins on the left side.
Yeah, that got inside of his target. He's looking to open the lane up a little bit more than that.
Now, how much of an advantage do you think contributing to Terry's winning streak here is the left-hander part of it? Because we haven't had a lot of lefties, so far in this match. So far, really, in our 3 weeks here in Jamestown.
I would have to say that it seems to be a factor. The left side seems to play a little bit more consistently, maybe break down a little bit more consistently. We saw the right-handers really struggle on lane 17, where we don't see a big difference between 17 and 18 on the left side.
You saw our social media places to follow Beat the Champ on Twitter and on Facebook. The Facebook page will have all of the results from qualifying that's going on this weekend, and we'll know who our 9 bowlers are that are going to challenge the winner of this match in our first match at the Kearns Avenue Bowling Center next month. So Terry Parson left it open in the first, but he comes right back and balances that out with a strike in the second. So if you want to keep up to date on who's our next batch of bowlers and how things are going, make sure you like us on the Facebook page. So now we get another look at Bill. And Bill made sure to tell us that we needed to thank the guys that he works at Urban Insulation, particularly bosses Jim and Jack, for giving him the day off to come here to Jamestown and bowl, and a special mention to his co-worker Chaz, who's stuck working by himself because Bill is off bowling with the boys here in Jamestown. And, and Bill also wanted to make sure we thanked his parents, John and Peggy. He said his dad, John, the biggest reason that he started bowling and he continues to bowl as well as he has, lots of inspiration has come from his dad, John.
Great shot.
Powerful shot right there. So 2 strikes in a row for Bill Swiat after a spare in the first. And maybe for the first time in a couple of matches, Terry Parson's feeling a little pressure from his opponent.
Yep, exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was going to say. That Bill came in and put, that double really put a little pressure on Terry with that open frame in the first.
And a good response in the 3rd frame for Terry Parson, as you saw, from Randolph, New York, 41 years old. working on 3 consecutive victories. We've had, the 2 times we've been down here at Jamestown, we've had good streaks.
Right.
We had Chuck Jagosinski win 5 in a row. We had Matt White start a streak that resulted in 6 in a row. We had Tony Dolan win 3 in a row earlier this month, and now we've got Terry on 3 in a row looking for 4. So when guys seem to find the groove, literally and figuratively here at the Jamestown Bowling Company, it seems to work for them. Speaking of streaks, 3 in a row for Terry Parson.
Well, you come in here and nobody knows your name, and all of a sudden you're a household name.
That's right. That's right. Bill Swiat stays busy bowling in Tuesday nights at Tonawanda Lanes, Wednesday nights at Wimbledon, Thursday nights at Wimbledon. Overall average right around 229 for Bill Swiat. Snuck in at the last qualifying position, number 9, coming in here to Jamestown. And he's got 3 in a row.
Great shot.
So we got a couple of big throwers, powerful throwers, battling their way to knock as many pins down as possible right now.
That's right. Keeping it interesting here, because that, if you're going to have an open, that's where you want it, in the first frame, where you can make it up the most. It does the least damage when it comes to count. So still in a good spot.
And I mentioned that Bill was the 9th qualifier, the final qualifier, and he made us laugh because he put on his notes. He wants to thank Pat Brick, Mike Zarcone, and Matt Zazowski for not showing up here to Jamestown and allowing him to sneak in the last qualifying spot. So I thought that was a very funny little note that Bill added.
Well, Bill throws it very good in his own right. That's where you talk about this being mental and there being an intimidation factor. You know, it's like you see these guys and you think, well, there's 3 spots that aren't available.
Yeah, those 3 guys that he mentioned, along with Jagosinski and Dolan, are as successful as anybody we've had in the 1 year of Beat the Champ. And a little kiss on the side of the pin there gives Bill Swiat the spare in the 5th frame. So
and just that easy, Terry can come up, throw a couple strikes, and this match is tied.
He's got 3 in a row right now, and again, like you said, I think we had an open frame in the first, which is, oh boy, that's not a good tone setter, but get it out of the way. If you're going to do it, get it out of the way.
Right.
4 in a row.
That was a big clutch shot there.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Big, important, needed strike for Bill Swiat.
Definitely. We've seen a lot of that, though. We've seen a lot this week or this month, I should say, of people coming up and having to make a shot and making them. And that's under these conditions with the lights on you and the pressure on you, there's a lot to be said for the shots that you see these bowlers make when they need to.
So now he'll slide over to lane 17 for his 9th frame shot, and it's crucial that Bill keeps striking, get good counts here to respond to what Terry may do, and there's another strike.
Well, that shot right there tied this match back up again. And we talk about the ebbs and flows of the game. Terry had a commanding lead, and a pocket 6-8 made this match even again when Bill was able to come up and double. So now we're looking at an even match.
So, with 2 frames left for Terry and 1 for Bill, it'll be decided here.
It'll be decided in the 10th frame. Big shot.
Big response. Terry Parson with a strike in the 9th. So now both guys head to the 10th. Terry seems to like not having these things decided until right at the end, huh? He had a couple of easier victories in his first 2 matches of the day against Andrew Blasdell and Tom Lester, but this one's been tough.
One thing Terry can't do, and that is shut out Bill. So we're at the point where Bill has a 1-pin advantage. He can, even if Terry strikes out, Bill can strike out and beat him by 1.
A little wobble, and it won't go down. 6-pin will not go down. So it's in even more so now in Bill's control.
If Bill matches what Terry did, he'll win by a pin. But that's, we've seen a lot happen now, haven't we?
Well, sure. In that match I spoke of, we saw the unexpected happen when you didn't think it would. So Terry gets the spare there. He'll have one more throw in the 10th to post up his final score.
Count is very critical here. He needs to get all 10 because this can create a tie. That one pin makes a big difference here.
We haven't had a tie yet on Beat the Champ a year in.
No, we haven't.
So a critical role here for Terry Parson. Let's watch. That's the way to respond. Terry Parson with a 225 on the board. So will it be enough? That's going to be determined by the gentleman in the orange shirt, Bill Swiat.
Well, you called it 226, 227 were his other two games today.
Yeah, right there. How about that? Those are Terry's 3 scores today. 225, 226, 227. Okay, so again, emphasize to us, what does Bill need to do here?
Bill needs to match what Terry just did.
Which is spare strike.
9 spare strike.
9 spare
The count
strike.
matters.
Oh
my.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
Wow. All of a sudden that went from 7 to 9 in a split second.
Bill must know somebody back there in the pits knocking down pins.
He must know somebody. There must have been a breeze. Somebody opened the door and a breeze came in.
Well, this creates the possibility of a tie. Wow. If he strikes, we have a tie.
All right,
based on pin count.
If he strikes, we have a tie.
If he strikes, we have a tie.
9th and 10th frame roll.
Because he was on the double.
All right, well, we'll explain what might happen with that if that's what goes here. So a strike for Bill Swiat, and we have a tiebreaker for the first time on Beat the Champ. And it didn't knock it down. Wow. So he got lucky on the first one and he got unlucky on that one. Wow. And Terry Parson comes up with another amazing 1-pin victory. Wow. Does it get any more dramatic than that?
Terry needs to go play the lottery right now.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Unbelievable. And that pin spun over, and it looked like it was going to take it down, and it didn't. Oh, boy, what a dramatic way to wrap up a 3-week run here at the Jamestown Bowling Company. We got a lot to talk about, and we'll do that with Terry and Bill when we come back to Jamestown. You are watching an amazing edition of Beat the Champ. A dramatic finish sends Terry Parson to a 225 to 224 win over Bill Swiat. Take me through that 10th frame, Bill.
Well, honestly, I didn't see the 2 pins fall at the end, so I thought I was done. And I heard some clapping and turned around and the 5 pin was there, so I was not expecting that.
Yeah, well, you got the lucky break on the first throw of the 10th, and then you kind of got the unlucky one on the last one.
Yeah. If you're a righty, you leave 10 pins, and it happened at a bad spot.
Right. Well, if you wanted to cry, we're going to make you laugh because you get a couple tickets to the Lucy Desi Museum, and I know you'll be more than happy to take some of Jim Mee's prize money here as well, too.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Right.
Total $50 cash, Jamestown Bowling Company.
Thank you.
Good bowling. You made it 2 times here.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Right. Sue, our man over here is on a roll, isn't he?
Well, what's meant to be is meant to be, and it seems that you were meant to take the trip down to Buffalo next month for Kearns.
It'll be an interesting trip. Like I said, it's trying to make 12 good shots. So.
Well, you get to be the returning champ, and you're racking up the funds. You get $100 for every win, and now you get to carry that out, and hopefully 3 more at Kearns. In the meantime, you're also racking up the oil changes.
All right.
And now you have $50 to spend at Stagecoach West. So
thank you very much.
Great bowling. Successful day for you today.
Along with $400, buddy.
Thank you, Jim.
Great job. Great job. Great job.
So it's 4 in a row for Terry Parson and a chance to come back and go for 5 in a row. Sue and I will wrap up another amazing week here at the Jamestown Bowling Company when we return on Beat the Champ. Well, Janelle and Sue, we had a great 3-week run here at Jamestown. We're going to be back for our junior bowling competition next week, but these 3 weeks, Sue, were pretty amazing, including that last match. As much as we talked about the 6 Jamestown guys struggling, it's a Jamestown guy that's red hot right now.
Right. I mean, we led into the show figuring that it was an opportunity for a Jamestown person to come to the forefront, and then we started to question maybe that wasn't going to happen. And then it happened. And Terry's our guy. He'll be going on to Buffalo next in 2 weeks to defend his title.
Yeah, riding a winning streak of 4 in a row. You were working that scoreboard as hard as I've ever seen you working. We had 2 one-pin matches.
Yeah.
Almost every one of them came right down to the end.
It comes really close, and I'm hopeful. Like maybe one day we'll see a tie, but then it comes down to that 1 pin.
That was as close as we've come to having our first tie, but it was a great week here at Jamestown. It's been a great 3 weeks. 1 more week to come, so we'll see you next week. Our final week here at the Jamestown Bowling Company. For everybody at WBBZ, for Sue and for Janelle and the rest of the crew, we'll see you next week on Beat the Champ.